Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Construction Quality Control, a framework to document and improve your company's quality assurance program. As many of you know, AmeriSure is one of the nation's leading providers of commercial insurance. We specialize in managing risks for businesses in construction, manufacturing, and healthcare. We are licensed to conduct business in all 50 states and have been in business for over 100 years. There are nearly 700 AmeriSure employees, with our headquarters located in Farmington Hills, Michigan, and 12 strategically located core service centers around the country. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the Q&A box or in your Zoom chat. You do have the option to submit your questions anonymously using the Q&A box if you choose. I'll bring them up at the end of our presentation. Due to the number of attendees and to avoid background interference, all attendees are muted and will remain muted for the duration of the webinar. Please be aware that this webinar is for general information only and is not intended to provide specific solutions for any potentially unsafe conditions and should not be relied upon for legal advice. You are advised to consult with an attorney to address any particular circumstance. AmeriSure assumes no duty or obligation to any party in providing this information. Okay, so our presenters today are Terry Holtman and Ryan Anderson. Terry has been with AmeriSure for 27 plus years, and he is based in our Dallas, Texas Core Service Center. Terry has a Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Power Engineering Technology from Oklahoma State University, and he also holds Certified Safety Professional designation. Ryan has been with AmeriSure for 7 years and works in our Richmond office. He has an MBA, CRM, and CST, and he assists AmeriSure's Risk Management Department with its safety technology initiative. Both Terry and Ryan have a wealth of knowledge to share today, so without further ado, I will turn the time over to our experts.
Thank you. Welcome to our initial webinar addressing construction quality control record keeping and how this documentation can benefit your company's efforts in various ways, including future defense of any construction defect claims. Construction defect claims have been around since the 1970s, but it seems that the 2008 economic crash began a significant increase in the frequency and severity of claims. Prior to the crash, the construction industry was experiencing significant growth, which also increased the demand for employees that may or may not have been properly trained, and there could have been shortcuts taken to complete the projects. There have been millions of dollars paid by insurance companies over the past several years for these types of claims, which has also increased premiums and other related costs for the construction industry. Over the past several years, AmeriSure risk management personnel have seen a gradual improvement with these loss prevention efforts. These efforts may have been encouraged by customer requirements, past claim involvement, general contractor requirements, or insurance carrier involvement. Course objectives. We will begin with a discussion on the importance of quality control with the construction industry, along with some of the impacts and benefits that this can have with a company. We will touch on the difference between a quality assurance program, referred to as QAP, and quality control, referred to as QC. There are numerous construction trades that AmeriSure Insurance has as customers, and we will discuss examples of some of the more common construction defect causes, with a focus being on those that represent the most frequently reported, as well as being involved with higher claims payments. The focus of this webinar will involve reviewing key documentation associated with quality control programs that may assist your company in the event of a future question, issue, or claim for work that has been completed. This will cover the general documentation that should be in place, in which you may already be doing at this time based upon your specific operations and involvement with past projects that had quality control requirements. Ryan Anderson will cover some of the technology-related tools that are available to assist with these efforts and make the record-keeping process easier to manage. We quickly realized that there are so many other tools now available for specific industries that we determined that these would be better addressed during future webinars that are more trade-specific. At the end of this webinar, we will have time for any questions. Now that we have the introductions complete, I will now begin with the presentation. Quality assurance versus quality control. I want to start off with a discussion on the two terms, quality assurance and quality control. These terms have sometimes become interchangeable within the construction and insurance industries. It may be easier to think of a construction quality assurance program as a proactive program implemented by the company to prevent construction defects by focusing on each stage of the construction process. The quality assurance program addresses each stage from the architectural design through each building construction phase until completion. This process would be applied consistently to all current and future projects. Depending upon the type of operations that your company performs, a formal quality assurance program may be relatively simple or complex that involves designation of individual responsibilities, pre-planning meetings, subcontractor material transition meetings, material manufacturer project evaluations, use of third-party services representing the owner or general contractor, etc. The quality control program is a component of the quality assurance program and may require project-specific revisions being implemented to help support the overall quality process. Quality control aims to identify defects in a finished product, as well as providing supporting documentation for future reference. What is a construction defect? This is a general definition of construction defect, generally defined as a defect in the design, the workmanship, and/or in the materials or systems used on a project that results in a failure of a component part of a building or structure and causes damage to person or property, usually resulting in financial harm to the owner. This definition may vary from state to state, but for the purposes of this webinar, this will be giving us a starting point. For additional detailed information concerning your company operations and how it relates to construction defect claims, you may want to contact your insurance agency representative and/or company legal counsel. Construction defect claims may involve those items that are easily identified based upon visual inspection, or the more complex issues where the completed work is covered up and less noticeable until a failure is detected. A design defect will involve inaccurate construction plans due to error, omission, or both. These will involve the need for redesign and replacement of any construction materials that have already been installed. Workmanship and materials claims will involve a failure to build the structure according to design plans or installation of materials according to manufacturer recommendations, or the use of improper materials as specified. Construction defect claims will generally involve the design professional, general contractor, and subcontractors used for the construction of the project. According to claims history, most claims are the result of water intrusion of the building envelope. These types of claims represent 80 to 85% of the construction defect claims. These claims are often the result of a significant rain, wind, or hurricane event. These claims often occur several years after completion of the project, but within the statute of repose. The other two primary areas of construction defect claims are foundation issues leading to damage to the property and structural issues leading to damage to the property. There are numerous potential construction defect claims that can be made, with these being different depending upon your operations. Here are some additional examples of operations where these types of claims can be made. As materials, processes, technology, and other items may change within your specific industry, it is important to understand what the future claims potential can involve with these changes and attempt to assure these loss exposures are controlled as best as possible. There may be a variety of building code inspections that must be performed by local municipalities or other governing agencies. These may be required for your specific operation, but they should not be relied upon as a substitute for your own quality control procedures. Potential impacts. A history of construction defect claims can negatively impact the reputation of your company within the construction industry, with current or future customers, and within the insurance industry. This could impact your ability to obtain new customers in the future or maintain current customers that could lead into long-term business relationships. If you are a subcontractor, it could prevent working with general contractors that perform formal subcontractor screening processes based upon past claims and feedback from past customers. Insurance premiums could increase in the future based upon past claims frequency and/or severity. This may also involve having higher deductibles that the company would pay to reduce the overall premium costs. Construction defect claims will generally involve long tails, which means that a claim can be made on past insurance policies in which there was previous coverage after the policy has expired or was canceled. With the average construction defect claim taking 2.5 years to resolve, this would require time being spent by company employees to research or provide requested documents, be involved with various claim discussions, possibly participating in mediation meetings, etc. This is productive time that could be devoted to other business activities, but is instead being used for these types of requests, along with any other items that may arise throughout the claims resolution process. What are some of the costs with construction defect claims? We have direct costs and indirect costs. Direct costs are those items that will require some type of monetary payment, such as repair costs, labor costs, redesign, engineer fees, and retesting as needed. These additional direct costs can be significant depending upon the project and the work that your company was involved with. The indirect costs are those items that may not be immediately realized as compared to direct costs. These indirect costs may involve the loss of future revenue due to a dissatisfied customer that the work was performed for, or as well as possible loss of future business due to unfavorable reviews that may be given by dissatisfied customers. Duplication of work efforts requires personnel being assigned to perform the repair work at the project where they could have been utilized at another project, which may delay the completion of that work or reassigning other employees from other projects. Low employee morale could occur if employees repeatedly must perform rework. Few people like having to repeat work that they thought was completed, and over time, this can have a negative impact on their attention to detail. If weather conditions have an impact when your work can be performed, there is no guarantee that weather conditions will cooperate as it may have when the original work was performed. These types of delays may have a domino effect on other projects and future planning. Construction defect claims can become drawn out over time with the industry average of 2.5 years to resolve. This is generally due to attorney involvement, use of outside experts, requesting and obtaining various project documents, claims, mediation, and possible court cases based upon size and complexity of a claim. As you can see, the largest percentage of claims being reported are generally within the first 5 years of a project being completed. Years 6 through 8 has some decline, but goes back up during the 10th year. These types of claims must be made within the statute of repose. Here we have a definition for statute of repose, a law establishing a cutoff period or a specified time period to file a claim when the cause of action takes place or the wrongful act is committed. Each state has determined what this length of time is concerning the ability to file a claim concerning completed work. You should be aware of what the statute of repose is for any state that you may operate in, since these can vary. There may also be some different statute of repose requirements for different types of projects within your own state, as you want to be aware of these also. At Amerisure, we recommend to our customers on retaining their project files for the length of time as stated by the statute of repose for that state, plus an extra 2 years in case there is a last-minute claim submitted and it takes time for this to reach your company. The retention of these records should not be confused with other record-keeping requirements that your company may have, such as following those for the IRS. How many years does the statute of repose cover? We have a poll, so if you would take a time to answer the poll.
All right, I'm going to give you guys a few more seconds to answer this poll here. And we're going to go ahead and show you all the results. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Okay, so it looks like we had a lot of answers here. About 31% think it's 5 years. About 8% of you think it's 7 years. 54% of you said 10 years, and 8% of you said indefinite. So let's see what Terry has to say about that.
Well, the answer is any of the first three choices could be correct if that is the length of time for your individual state. Statute of repose by state. Is a list of the various statute of repose for individual states, and I will give you a moment to pick out the states that you operate in and make note of what the applicable statute of repose is. Okay. Remember, your insurance agent and/or company legal resource can also help identify any additional items that you may need to be aware of when it applies to the statute of repose that will apply to your operations. Completed project claims defense. I've listed some bullet points of a good project record keeping practices that helped reduce the claims loss payments. A building owner filed a $10 million claim wanting the exterior wall veneer removed, walls waterproofed, and the veneer installed again. It does appear that this claim will close at a little more than $500,000 rather than $10 million, with this primarily involving legal defense and other associated expenses. Our insured was able to provide a copy of the signed contract that revealed that they were not responsible for the installation of any metal flashing or waterproofing of the exterior wall prior to the masonry veneer being installed. An approved mock-up wall was constructed at the beginning of the project, and the company installed the materials according to this approved mock-up wall. They used the appropriate sealants around the masonry wall anchors to prevent any water intrusion associated with these wall penetrations. They also had various requests for information and change order documents that were generated by the general contractor, and they performed their work according to these signed documents. Physical water tests were performed throughout the project to assure that there were no water leaks associated with the work that they performed. It now appears that any issues that the building owner has is with other subcontractors that were also working on the project. Also keep in mind that good record keeping practices could be vital in the event of a catastrophe. According to an April 18th, 2022 article in ENR Midwest, there is currently a wrongful death lawsuit associated with the partial building collapse of an Amazon warehouse in Edwardsville, Indiana, that occurred due to a tornado on December 10th, 2021. 6 people were killed when a portion of this building collapsed. Currently, the initial focus is on the building roof trusses and support columns and whether these were designed or installed properly. Benefits of quality control programs. There are many benefits of having quality control programs in place. Project costs can be reduced in a variety of ways, with one of the more significant items being the prevention of having to perform extensive rework on items that were not installed properly the first time. Construction defect claims can be avoided, which can be extensive, as we had discussed earlier, along with helping to assure customer satisfaction with the work that was performed. Employees over time will understand the company expectations for quality work being performed, which is the goal, and will minimize items that show up on a punch list. The records that we will be discussing today can also assist with documenting any completed work that may have been performed by your company and was damaged later by any of the various trades that followed you. This is especially true if your work is being covered up by soil or other construction materials. As you can see in this photo, below grade wall penetrations have been performed to allow for installation of piping or conduit. This would warrant a follow-up with the general contractor and the involved subcontractors to determine the responsibility of sealing around this piping or conduit to prevent water intrusion into the building. As we began talking about the various items that should be in your own project files, keep in mind that these items will vary according to what your company performs. These project files could be extensive if you are a general contractor dealing with various subcontractors and the work that they are performing. The complexity of the building can also dictate what type of documents must be obtained and retained for future reference. There are several items on the market that can make these activities easier, as Ryan will discuss later in this program. As a general contractor, you may be responsible for the construction of the entire building, the building shell only, or interior finish out only, and this will dictate the type of records that need to be maintained. Specialty trades will be focused on what their contract requires them to perform. Your programs will involve the work that is self-performed or performed by hired subcontractors. It is critical to work with other subcontractors on the project as needed to help assure that your work is performed properly so that it does not interfere with the construction activities of other trades that will install materials over your work or transition with your work. Companies that are involved with the building envelope need to be diligent about their quality control programs and record keeping practices. Claims associated with the building envelope will generally involve water intrusion and can be quite expensive depending upon the occupancy of the building and the extent of the damage. An example of contractors that will be involved with the building envelope will include general contractors, roofing contractors, window contractors, exterior wall components, waterproofing, building foundation, and any other trades that may involve roof, wall, or foundation penetrations to install their materials or equipment. There's not a one-size-fits-all when it comes to effective record keeping and quality control practices. The key components of your program should address your operations and the potential future claims exposures that may exist. This can be based upon past claims or completed operations issues and the corrective actions that were developed to prevent a future recurrence. Having an effective program in place can assist with any dispute resolution that may occur during the project or after it is completed. You can think of it as if it's not documented, it did not happen. Good record keeping practices can also help meet project deadlines if these are readily available to designated company personnel and everyone is aware of where these documents are located and what the expectations are concerning these documents that are being maintained. This will also assist with time management, which can eliminate wasted time looking for appropriate documents. We have listed the key components of a project file record keeping system and quality control items that will help support these individual areas. We will highlight each of these individually or summarize them as a group to provide you with an overview of what we as risk management consultants are recommending to our customers to assist with their own program development and implementation. Where applicable to your operations, sealed plans and revisions should be used for your projects. These will include the architect's stamp in the title block along with the approval from the city or other approval agency. These should also be on any future revisions that are conducted to the original plans and would also include approvals of any shop drawings that your company may utilize that will show the details of your work. Coordination between all involved contractors is critical to assure that everyone is working from the most current plans due to any revisions. As-built plans are documents generated by the builder or the designer, and it includes all of the revisions, shop drawings, repairs, and sketches used during construction. Some jurisdictions will require these documents to be signed and sealed by the architect and submitted to the building department for final records. Are your requests for information, change order, and repair documents incorporated into a set of as-built drawings at the end of every project? Do you then submit those drawings to the jurisdiction for approval? Who receives a copy of the as-built drawings? It is advisable that a copy of the as-built plans be submitted to the end user as well. How are they tracked and stored? Digital plans or paper, or a combination of both? Material submittals are one of the first items that must be addressed prior to a project beginning. As a general contractor, these submittals from the various subcontractors will identify the products that will be used to complete their portion of the project. These submittals are developed to meet the design requirements within the construction plans. A formal process should be in place to obtain these submittals from all subcontractors where applicable, with there being dates when these were received and approved. If the materials do not meet the design requirements, then the subcontractor should be notified of the rejection and documentation kept when the correct material submittal is received and approved. There may be instances where the materials are not available and a substitute material may be offered. Before any alternative materials are accepted, the architect or engineer needs to approve the substitute, and this documentation kept within the project file. As a subcontractor, these submittals are a key component to help assure the appropriate materials are ordered and shipped to the construction project. Whenever possible, material purchases and distribution should be centralized to help assure the right materials are being sent out according to the project submittals. Material purchases by field personnel should be limited to help avoid the use of materials that do not meet the design specifications. If substitute materials must be used, written approval should be obtained from the general contractor with this request and approval maintained within the project file. These material submittals may also contain important information from the manufacturer concerning the use of their materials to achieve the best results. An example of this may be surface preparation, minimum or maximum temperatures for installation, humidity ranges, incompatible materials with the product, or others. QC testing. Quality control testing will vary depending upon your specific operations. These tests should be documented as the project progresses or when the job has been completed for those activities that are performed within a shorter time frame. These tests may involve physical tests concerning critical items that could cause significant damage if there was a faulty installation, such as water intrusion or water damage. These tests may involve the use of a third-party company as required by the building owner, general contractor, or company policy. The results of these tests need to be documented and retained within the project file. Any items that did not meet the testing requirements needs to be documented along with the corrective actions taken and retesting results. If the test failure is due to the completed work of another subcontractor, this should be noted along with the appropriate communication with the general contractor or building owner to have the necessary corrective actions taken. Some examples of physical tests are shown in these photos. Water testing of a window installation, which will involve application of water spray at a specified pressure and duration of time to identify any leaks. Or pressure testing of installed plumbing at a specified pressure and time duration. The use of tinted PVC primer in this photo also allows for quick visual inspections that helps assure the joints were properly prepared and glued. Keep in mind that you should use industry best practices to help minimize injury exposures to employees or other persons in these areas while these tests are being performed. Actual failure tests may be required by the product manufacturer at predetermined intervals to help verify proper installation, such as the caulking of an expansion joint or material transition. These can be easily repaired after the tests have been conducted if it passes. Any failure to meet specifications must be documented along with the necessary corrective actions. Quality control inspections. The use of a written checklist are a good way to help assure that all the necessary items are addressed on a consistent basis. These checklists will generally involve visual inspections that are performed to determine pass, fail, or not applicable at that time. These checklists may be used at the completion of the job or at predetermined stages as a project progresses. The appropriate training should be performed with all persons. These inspection activities to help assure these are being conducted properly, consistently, and non-conforming items are identified and corrective actions are performed and verified. Written checklists can also involve the use of generic forms that meet your operational needs or customized depending upon the complexity of a project. No matter which method is used, it is important that employees understand how important these inspections are and to avoid simply going through the motions to complete just another task. We'll go to documenting with photos. AmeriSure claims adjusters are always glad to have photographs to help support their claims defense. The use of photos to document completed work or other items of company interest is a quick way to verify the quality of the installation, especially if the work is going to be covered up by other materials. With the availability of cloud storage, the number of photos taken should not be an issue. The number of photos taken will generally be dictated by the size, type, and complexity of the project. Your company may have a list of predetermined photos that need to be taken, such as service type work. These photos can also be edited to give a description of what the photo is illustrating. It is important that these photos are date and time stamped. Photos involving building envelope work can be critical that help support efforts being made to prevent water intrusion or the completed work of other trades prior to your installation. It may be necessary to use specialty equipment to locate hidden items such as post-tension cables within a concrete building or structure to avoid damage or possible injury. Ryan will be discussing various technology methods that can assist with these activities, along with some other unique applications. Final pre-inspections. Your company may be involved in pre-inspection activities prior to something final being performed that will cover your work, such as concrete. Your role may be as general contractor to inspect the work of the various subcontractors to ensure everything is in place prior to the concrete pour being performed. If third-party services are used, these types of inspections, copies of their inspections, need to be obtained and maintained in the project files. If you're one of the subcontractors on the job, you can use these types of inspections to document the condition of the site after your work has been completed. This may involve the need to correct some of your own work, or will identify work performed by other trades that may adversely impact your work that was performed. Any noted timeframes for completing the corrective actions should be noted to assure these are performed in a timely manner. Non-conforming items can be a variety of things. The wrong materials were used for the installation, improper installation performed by employees, non-conforming work by another trade, which is causing issues with your product installation. It is important that persons performing the quality control inspections have the necessary experience and training to evaluate what the plans call for and compare them to actual installation. These persons should also be aware of any project specification requirements that may vary from standard industry practice to ensure these requirements are being met. Any noted nonconformances need to be documented and forwarded to the necessary persons to alert them of the items that need to be corrected, along with any additional information that may be needed to help assure corrective actions are performed. It may be necessary to provide a time frame that these corrections must be completed by, and some type of verification process should be in place to assure that proper actions have been taken. If the wrong materials were delivered or used, these should be isolated to prevent continued use until the materials can be sent back to the supplier or your warehouse. Change orders will occur on almost every project eventually, and there needs to be clear procedures in place, along with the appropriate documentation obtained prior to any deviation from the original plans. These change orders can be initiated for a variety of reasons and will generally be initiated by the project owner and/or architect or engineer. These change orders must be received in written form if you are the general contractor or subcontractor and signed off by the appropriate persons requesting or approving the change orders. No matter what methods are used, these records need to be retained on file, no matter how insignificant it may seem, along with the approval signatures on each of these documents. Each company should evaluate their internal procedures concerning the acceptance of change orders, with all supervisory personnel understanding that simple verbal change orders at the field level are not to be performed. This will allow for the appropriate persons to evaluate the change order request, identify any additional items that may require clarification, and approve the change and project costs that will generally occur. Requests for information are usually generated by the contractor performing the installation work, but these could be generated by others involved with the project as needed. These may involve the need for written clarification concerning what the plans are calling for and how to perform the work in the field. It may be necessary to get these changes approved by appropriate persons and/or agencies. The complexity of these requests for information will vary depending upon what the construction process involves. Just like our discussion on change orders, no deviation to the original plans should be performed until a formal written response is received concerning the request for information that your company generated. Punch list may generally be thought of as a final inspection of work performed that identifies the need to be corrected before the project is accepted by the owner. Punch list can be developed anytime throughout the project as it progresses to assure that items will be covered up or inspected and accepted. Large projects, those that involve repetition of construction activities throughout the project, may benefit from punch lists being developed to help reduce the same corrective actions being performed later on. Completed work within the construction industry will generally involve a callback warranty for 1 year after the project has been completed. Product manufacturers may provide a warranty longer than 1 year, and any related information concerning the extent of their warranties should be maintained within the project file for future reference. Any equipment operation demonstrations with the building owner or their representatives should be documented to verify when this was conducted, with the provision of any written documents to the customer concerning operators' manuals and other related items. There may also be a need to highlight items that are part of the building design that should not be altered, which could create future issues, especially if this involves the building envelope. Additional documentation. Subcontract agreements with general contractors and/or subcontractors should be retained within the project files. Subcontract agreements should be written by attorneys specializing in the construction industry. Designated persons within the company should be responsible for the review and signing of subcontract agreements, along with approval of any contract exclusions. Certificates of insurance along with endorsements need to be obtained from all subcontractors hired having the appropriate insurance coverages for workers' compensation, general liability, and umbrellas. Daily logs are a good area to document project activities that are not being obtained elsewhere within your quality assurance procedures. These documents may document discussions on weather conditions, contractors on site, work performed or completed, or any unexpected events. Purchase orders may also be used, and assurances should be made to make sure that all of the terms and rights are outlined by the suppliers. Payroll records can also provide some claims defense concerning a future claim, which could show that your company did not have employees on that project during that time frame, especially if there are other trades on site performing similar operations. And file maintenance audits are beneficial to assure that all of the necessary records are being kept on file. This may involve assigning persons being responsible for overall content of the files or divided up based upon responsibilities. Regular checks of the project files may be required during the length of the project to assure all records are on file, or there may be use of external parties to perform these periodic audits of your files. I am now going to hand the presentation over to Ryan, where he will discuss some areas that technology may be able to support your record-keeping efforts.
Thanks, Terry. So whether you're trying to fix gaps in your company's quality control process, or you're trying to take the quality assurance program to the next level, it can feel overwhelming. So I'm going to wrap up today's webinar by highlighting a few software platforms that can make QAP more manageable. While every software vendor provides a different solution, most of these technologies allow you to create custom inspection forms, punch lists, and files, which can be pushed into the field via cell phone notification. Then the field completes the documentation, adds photos, and all these items are automatically organized and stored. I'm going to quickly begin by covering some benefits that you can realize by using this technology to document QC. Then I'll cover a few tips when you're trying to implement and switch to one of these technologies. And then I'm going to wrap up by showing a list of vendors that Amerisure's policyholders have given us positive feedback on. But before I jump into those items, I am curious what all of your organizations do. Use the poll feature just to tell me how your company currently documents quality control.
All right, we have some answers rolling in here. I'm going to give you guys about 30 seconds, and then I'll share the results, and Ryan can talk a little bit more through it. Let me give everyone about 10 more seconds to participate. There are no wrong answers, by the way. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and end this poll and share our results. So, Ryan, it looks like we have about 18% say that everything is submitted via technology in the field. About 9% are using pen and paper, and 73% said it depends on the job and employee, so it might be a combination of both.
Perfect. So it looks like a lot of you are already familiar with some quality control technology, and I'm recording this electronically, so that's very helpful. But obviously, whenever you implement a technology, there is an upfront cost. And implementing a change to your current quality control process can be stressful for the employees in the field. However, the benefits of these technologies are so valuable, they frequently provide a positive return on investment. So I quickly want to highlight 5 of those benefits. The first is improved efficiency. Uploading information into a software platform eliminates the need to complete a paper checklist, then file it at the job trailer, then dig it back out, transport it to the main office, give it to an administrator who reviews it, organizes it, and files it. Instead, you simply document the information and hit submit. In fact, some of these items captured on your daily report, such as date, time, job name, and weather conditions, can be automated. Many of these apps use GPS coordinates, local weather ports, and similar data to pre-fill those items on the daily log. Eliminating these administrative items can add up to improve efficiency, but these technologies provide a few additional boosts to efficiency, which I'll highlight as I go through the rest of this list. The next benefit listed is easier retrieval of documentation. While most of you probably don't get requests for quality documentation every day for every job, it can be challenging to put your hands on specific requested documentation when the paperwork is spread out, with some of it at the office, some of it at the job, some of it on computers, and other of it filed away in filing cabinets. These technologies allow you to store everything in one place, allowing you to easily send anything requested by a customer, GC, claims adjuster, or other stakeholder whenever it's needed. This may not seem like a big deal, but I can't tell you how many times we've seen better claims results and claims outcome because our adjusters obtain that information quickly and early on in the claims process. It also allows you to provide better customer service because you're able to provide information in a timely manner. And at the end of the day, the multiple internal requests you typically have to make to track down all the requested documentation increases administrative headaches and administrative costs, which thus this is another way technology will improve efficiency. The next bullet listed isn't always intuitive. Most people think if you tell your employees to document 15 items on paper, or you tell them, hey, document these 15 items on, via technology, one's not going to be better than the other. However, when we look at the real world application of that, those items are frequently documented more often if you use technology. Let's face it, our employees have a lot of competing priorities, and quality control documentation is just one small part of that. That can be easily overlooked in their day-to-day managing people in production, especially if the quality paperwork is not being reviewed or audited by someone else. Our superintendents and project managers can fall into a trap of focusing on other things for so long that some jobs are not well documented, and we don't realize it until the job is over, or even worse, we don't even realize it until we try to defend ourselves in a lawsuit. So, if quality was being tracked via technology, someone at the corporate office could run a report once a week, see every missing piece of quality documentation from every job, and then send a notification to the employees in the field asking them to complete it. Technology helps streamline the auditing and accountability process when it comes to quality control. The last benefit I want to highlight is the importance of the reports and the insights that technology can provide. Most of our quality documentation can feel like wasted time because frequently it's captured and then just shoved into a filing cabinet. Even if someone in the office takes the time to manually type all the data captured into an Excel spreadsheet, any trend analysis or reports management wants requires additional man hours, which is a constant drain on the company's efficiency. Instead, these technologies can automatically evaluate data to identify trends and insights. It might be able to show you where employees are constantly performing rework or an inferior product that is constantly being returned to the supplier. Imagine if your company could tailor training sessions to the few areas that your employees most frequently have to go back and perform additional work on, or you could eliminate products that get returned to the supplier and slow down your production schedule. Not only would you see a lift in the company's efficiency, but your end product would ultimately be higher quality. As I previously alluded to, incorporating technology into your company's quality assurance program can be a challenge. So I want to give you a couple of tips to roll out a new technology. First, make sure the fundamentals of your QAP and QC process are already in place. If you are documenting irrelevant items, your employees truly don't understand what they are looking for, or employees are pencil whipping checklists, then technology isn't going to fix anything. Second, before you go looking for software, decide what you want from that software. Some software simply converts a paper punch list into an electronic punch list. If that's all you need, there's nothing wrong with that software. However, if you want a system that sends RFIs to the architect as well as tracks your subcontractors' certificates of insurance, then you'll likely be disappointed by that basic punch list app. Once you know what you want out of a system and select a vendor, I'd encourage you to rely heavily on the vendor while getting your QAP process set up in the technology. I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like it's just easier to do everything myself. But in this case, that's likely not going to be true. The vendor developed this software. They know the ins and outs of the technology, and they've seen how other clients have utilized it to maximize efficiency. So let them guide you through the setup process. I'd also encourage you to start small. Pick 1 or 2 jobs to pilot the technology. We all know that technology rarely works perfectly the first time you use it. And it's likely that you'll need to tweak the technology and your forms and process before it feels like it's a perfect fit for your company. So rely on a small group that is comfortable using technology. Have them use the technology and provide feedback. Eventually, when the rest of the company begins using the software, this group can help train and champion the benefits of the software. Lastly, we all know you cannot suggest something once and expect a company to adopt a change. The expectations of QAP documentation must be clearly defined and communicated. The manner and timeliness of that documentation must be tracked, and employees must be held accountable. This should involve audits that are incorporated into the employee's review. So, as I wrap up today, as promised, I wanted to provide some technology vendors that may help you take your QAP to the next level. Before you explore any of these vendors too thoroughly, I would encourage you to look at any software package your company currently uses. For instance, the software you use for subcontractor management may have additional features that meet your needs. You wouldn't have to incur additional costs or train employees on a new program. This is particularly a good idea if your company uses a complete job site management software such as Procore, or if you utilize BIM systems such as Autodesk. These are very powerful software systems which go well beyond the scope of what I talked about today. However, if you do not have a solution in place, we've provided a list of 5 vendors that focus on electronically documenting quality control punch lists in daily reports. First, FTQ360 provides a robust platform for quality control documentation, and they have a lot of solutions already developed for GCs, home builders, and specific trades. GoAudits provides a straightforward electronic punch list which generates insight reports. iAuditor is well known in the construction industry for its safety inspection checklists, but they do have a lot of quality solutions as well. Raken sets up daily reports for quality control and safety, which are specific to GCs in various trades such as concrete, electrical, excavation contractors, and mechanical contractors. And real-time risk solutions provide safety and QC processes, and they're geared towards getting the information not only from your employees, but your subcontractors as well. On the screen, you'll see 2 additional lists of vendors, and I wanted to provide those to you even though they aren't technology vendors. On the right side of the screen, you see a list of vendors that have national capabilities to provide quality inspections. Many contractors utilize third-party inspectors to document jobs or a particular phase of a job. It might be to meet certain contract requirements with an owner, or it might be a new operation to them, so they want some additional assurance. The vendors who we've received positive feedback on include Quality Built, Access Point, and Legalis Pacific. And then the last vendor I'll highlight is First Time Quality. They offer quality assurance plans, programs, manuals, and checklists. So if you need to fill in some gaps in your quality assurance program or you want to refresh some material, First Time Quality may have a resource that can assist. But at this point, I will turn it back over to Anjanli, and we will take some questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Terry and Ryan, for all of the information you've provided today. I just wanted to remind you guys, if you need a list of the software vendors that Ryan mentioned, we're actually going to post this webinar link onto the AmeriSure site, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But we don't endorse any specific vendor. We just like to highlight those that we've received positive feedback on and that we know have worked out in the field for us. We're going to go ahead and take questions. I know it's a little past time here. We're about to hit past 2 o'clock. For those that want to stay on and listen into the questions, please feel free to. Just a reminder, if you do have any additional questions, go ahead and type them into the Q&A box on your Zoom bar. We have a couple that were already submitted earlier today. So I want to go with the first one. The first one says it was just a comment on they didn't see Virginia listed on the statute of repose by state list. So I'll go ahead and let Casey Kane, our manager from our Tampa office, answer that one.
Yeah, we apologize for that. Actually, that was left off, and the statute of repose for the state of Virginia is 5 years after the completion of work. So we just will need to update our list there. So it is 5 years.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We have a second question. What is the recommended length of time to keep digital and hard copy files for statute of repose conditions? And could it be detrimental to the company to keep files longer than the state statute of repose duration? I'll throw that out to our group and see whoever wants to go ahead and answer that one for our attendee.
I can answer from the risk management perspective. What we normally recommend our clients is to keep them digitally or in paper format, whatever your company chooses for a statute of repose plus 2 years, just because I think Terry alluded to it going to one of the slides that some claims can come in late. And so those will actually carry over beyond your statute of repose. So you want to have that documentation available, at least if you have to submit that to your claims department or whoever your adjuster is for that claim. So that's what we recommend.
Thank you, Casey. I appreciate that. And then we have one last question. It's just asking, will we receive a copy of this presentation? And yes, you absolutely will. We will be sending all webinar attendees the presentation from today. So please keep an eye out for that in your email. And like I mentioned, the webinar recordings will also be available in your SureConnect portal under Risk Management Resources. Thank you again. We appreciate you being here. We want to thank you from all of us here at the AmeriSure panel for joining us today. And we hope to see you later this year for our next webinar, which will be in September 22nd, covering forklift safety technology. So for any additional questions, you can contact your AmeriSure Risk Management Department on WebRM by scanning the QR code on this slide. And again, it'll be available when you receive that recording link shortly. Thank you all again so much. I really appreciate your time. Hope you have a great rest of your week.